We're now joined by Lauren Murphy, who challenges Valentina Shevchenko at UFC 266. And Lauren, you've won 5 fights in a row, all against ranked opponents. How did the feeling of that phone call and the fight assignment, okay, I have a fight, compare from a booking against Roxanne Modafferi or Andrea Lee at UFC 247 versus you getting the call that you're getting a title shot?
Oh, yeah, it's a great moment. It's always a great moment when the UFC calls to offer you another fight. I love my job and I love fighting. I love being a fighter and I especially love fighting for the UFC. So every time they call, really, it's like, yes, because we get to go, you know, ride the ride one more time. But that one was extra special because, my manager, Lou DeBono, called me up and said, like, all right, we got the fight. And I knew what fight he was talking about already. And it's gratifying. It's very gratifying.
After your win over JoJo at that post fight presser, you made a very lucid, systematic case for why you deserved the title shot. It was far more thorough than somebody typically just yelling at the champion on a microphone. What impact do you think that made in you ultimately getting this title shot?
Who can say? I think that ultimately the reason I was given the title shot is because I've earned it and not because of anything that I said at a press conference. So, um, like you said, I have won 5 fights in a row, and it has been over all ranked opponents. Nothing has been given to me in my UFC career. No easy opponent has ever been. Well, there are no easy opponents in the UFC, obviously, but I've always been given fights where they were very tough fights. They were very challenging fights. I was often the underdog, and I've persevered and come through time and time again, and that's what has earned me the title shot more than anything I've ever said on the mic.
Yeah, and you saying that you are often the underdog is not hyperbole. 7 fights in the flyweight division in the UFC. You've been an underdog in 5 of them, yet you're still 6-1 at 125 pounds. Why do you think the market hasn't yet adjusted to have you maybe favored in a few more of these?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I was on the Ultimate Fighter. I had a kind of a poor performance on the Ultimate Fighter, which didn't really do me any favors. I started my UFC career off, I think going 2-4. And so people look at that and they kind of write me off. But what they don't see is that all of those losses were very, very close. Some of them were very controversial losses to women at the highest level in the sport. What they tend to overlook is that, I hold 3 professional titles before I even got into the UFC in 2 different weight classes, that I've become the champion for every promotion that I've ever been signed to, that I have more finishes than decisions on my record, and I've never been finished myself, and I've consistently fought at the highest level. I've been fighting women in the top 10 for like 10 years now. So all of those things tend to get overlooked. And I'm not sure why, but to be honest with you, I don't think about why that often. I don't really care. What I try to focus on is making sure that I'm having the best possible practices on the day that I'm in, making sure that I'm learning from my mistakes, making sure that, I'm eating the right foods and I'm doing what my team is telling me to do day by day. And when I focus on that kind of stuff, then the results kind of take care of themselves.
So you beat Miriam Nakamoto to become Invicta's bantamweight champ, and you mentioned it. You started 2-4 in the UFC, 1-3 up at the bantamweight division. Had the split decision loss to Sarah McMahon, lost to Liz Carmouche. You made that move to flyweight, and like I said, 6-1 at 125 pounds. Is that change in trajectory more a reflection of your evolution as a mixed martial artist, or was that a big part you just finding the right weight class?
I think part of it was finding the right weight class. I am a big, strong flyweight. I'm a big flyweight. So part of it is that. Part of it is just also finding the right team around me. So at the beginning of this win streak in 2019, I changed my entire team. I was coming off an injury. I was coming off of a loss. Like we said, I was 2-4 in the UFC. And I traveled to, I was living in Arizona and I traveled to Texas to work with a female that had called me up to be part of her camp for just a few days. And I got in touch with some old coaches that actually the coach that took me to the Invicta Bantamweight Championship. And I called him up and I said, can I come train with you? And I did my whole camp with him. And so when I started this win streak in 2019, the very first fight on that win streak, I had a new coach, I had a new team, I was living in a new state. I had a new nutritionist. I had a new guy that was overseeing my entire camp. I had a new striking coach. I changed a lot of things, and it was kind of like a Jesus take the wheel moment. Like I was like, I'm putting all my faith into this, and we're just going to see what happens. And the results have been incredible.
Well, it all culminates UFC 266. You challenged Valentina Shevchenko for the belt. She's somebody who like you, obviously found a measure of rhythm and momentum at 125 pounds. When you look at her as a fighter, and she's, having defended her belt a few times now, starting to cross into that threshold where people are saying, who can beat her? Somebody defends a belt once or twice. They always have people who may knock off the champ, and then there gets this like kind of cruising altitude of perceived invincibility. What makes her so good?
She's the champ for a reason, and at this level, people don't make a lot of mistakes. Um, People become the champions in this sport because they're very good everywhere. And Valentina Shevchenko is very well rounded. She's very, very experienced. She has the reputation that she has for a reason. But I'm very good everywhere as well. I think you would be hard pressed to find an area of MMA that I don't excel in. I'm very good at everything. I'm very, very tough. I know how to persevere, not only in my career and in life, but in fights through tough moments. I know how to turn things around, and I've shown that over and over and over again. And it only takes, 1 second. It only takes one small mistake to give the fight to your opponent. And I'm going to be looking for her to make that one small mistake on Saturday night.
And like you mentioned, your resume is filled with a lot of people who themselves have very strong resumes, wins or losses. I mentioned McMahon, Carmouche. I mean, people I think sleep on Barb Honchak and where she stood in the division when you got that win. So when you go into this camp, though, your first fight for a UFC belt, do you look at it more as, oh, this is any other fight? I've fought 11 times in this UFC Octagon, or do you look at it more as, okay, this is the biggest fight of my career, and I'm going to prepare as such?
It's a little bit of both. It's finding a good balance between those two mentalities, I think, that will serve me the best. So, obviously, this is a 25-minute fight. We have to prepare for that against a very dominant champion. We have to prepare for that. But I'm very blessed to have really good sparring partners to work with. I'm blessed to have a great camp that helps me mentally prepare as much as we can. So even little things like the walkouts are going to be longer. There's going to be a long period of time where I walk out and then I'm waiting for her to walk out, and all the bells and whistles are going to be going off and the lights, and preparing for stuff like that. I think we can do in the camp. And then it's also telling myself, you know what, all that external stuff, that extraneous stuff is out of my control. And what I can control is staying in the moment. What I can control is fighting to the best of my ability and carrying out the game plan that my team has set for me. And, fighting exactly the way that I've been sparring in the gym. And I think if I do those things, then, like I said, the results are going to take care of themselves. The victory is going to take care of itself as long as I stay focused on the moment. And so I have to remember, I do have, I think 19 professional fights now, and this is another fight with another very tough chick, just like I've been doing for the last 10 years. So it's finding a balance between both, knowing that this is a big moment, but it's also just a moment.
And God, that dovetails so beautifully to my last question. I want you to take us into the tunnel. UFC 266, blue corner's about to walk out. They're playing the long fight feature. Diaz Lawler 2 has just wrapped. What are going to be the emotions and internal monologue that you utilize to put yourself in the best possible position as you walk into that octagon?
Oh God, don't trip going up the steps. Don't trip going up the steps. Look out for the cords. Don't trip over those. Making sure that I'm regulating my breathing. And like I said, just staying right in that moment and enjoying every second of it, because you only get to be a UFC title challenger, challenging one of the greatest pound for pound fighters of all time. We're never going to be in these exact moments ever again. And so I want to enjoy every second of it. It's going to be awesome. It's always an amazing feeling to walk out and see my name in the lights in the arena, to hear the fans cheering for me, to hear my walkout music playing, and to step into the world famous Octagon. There's a feeling like no other, It's a feeling like no other, and I've earned that, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Lauren, thanks so much for taking a few minutes out of your fight week. Best of luck making it up the steps without tripping over the cord, but of course, best of luck
I hope
in the
so.
UFC 266 co-main event. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.